Today's video is brought to you by Rick and Morty Amino, the one-stop place for anything and everything Rick and Morty. The Rick and Morty Amino is just one of thousands of awesome communities within the Amino app, all of which are filled with loads of amazing posts from fans just like you. Everything from fan art, fan theories, top 10 lists, polls, quizzes, chat rooms, and a ton more. The Amino app is available for free on both Android and iPhone. But today I have a very special announcement that Amino just launched a brand new voice chat feature where you can actually talk to up to 100 people live on the app. And I would like to invite you guys to come hang out with me this Wednesday night, October 4th at 6 p.m. Central Time. The first 100 people to enter my voice chat room will get a chance to do a live hangout and discussion Q&A all about the finale of Rick and Morty Season 3. We can talk theories and where we think the characters are going to be doing in Season 4 and all kinds of cool stuff. Now, don't worry, everyone else that's not in the first 100 can still stream the voice chat and hang out with everyone. But anyway, that's a link to that, all that down in the description, so make sure you are downloading the Amino app today. But with that out of the way, guys, let's jump right in. Starting off our list is obviously the title of the episode, which is Rick-Churian Morty Date. This is based off of the 1962 movie, The Manchurian Candidate. Next is the first clip of the title sequence. The last skull we see in this is actually identical to the skull that Summer gave Jerry at the end of episode 2 of season 3. Also, in the intro, there is an animation glitch. As we all know, Mr. Poopy Butthole has been removed from the season 3 intro, but in this episode, we can actually see they missed part of his hand on the dinner table. The president also calls the alien that's traveling him in the basement a Googa. We've seen this a few times in Rick and Morty. This is a throwback to an early Justin Roiland skit that he did with him and his friends before they were famous called Googas.
Easy Googas! Right?
Not entirely sure how important this is, but the song the president puts on is called Tracy Jenkins and the Jankinettes, Prisoner of My Emotion. It's an original song by the creators of the show, so I thought it was pretty cool they threw that in the background. Rick also says that South Park did the Minecraft bit 4 years ago. Well, that exact episode of South Park came out October 2nd, 2013, almost exactly 4 years to the date, so that is some pretty cool attention to detail. Also, with the Minecraft references, Rick makes a mention that do autistic people play this game? To which he says he loves it, which would lead us to believe that Rick is self-diagnosing himself as some sort of autistic.
Blow him up. Give me the phone.
Is this game popular with autistic people?
Why would you say something like that?
Because I'm starting to love it.
Also, in the scene where the president shrinks, Rick and Morty make fun of him for pulling out a pill and using it and say that it's such a 70s style. They may be referring to the movie The Fantastic Voyage, which uses a very similar shrink pill and ship. However, that movie came out in the late 1960s, so they may have had an error in the script there. And when the aliens tell the president that he will grow back like a 1950s movie, they were referring to the movie from the 1950s called Attack of the 50-Foot-Tall Woman. They also make mention of a Star Wars-like cantina scene, so that was pretty cool. They threw that little in there, throwback to a Star Wars. Rick also tells the secret agent that he's going to screw his mother and that she lives at 312 Olive Street. That is an address in many United States cities, so not exactly sure if that's just an address they pull out of their ass or somewhere actually that makes sense to them, but if you live near one, you could probably check it out. We also learned that the government gets all of their information on Rick from Wikipedia nonetheless, which is actually pretty freaking funny because anyone can edit that, and that's why he did it there. He's always one step ahead of them. But because of that, we find out that Rick's actually afraid of pirates. It's his biggest fear. And this is an odd thing because remember back to season 1, in the one episode where he keeps defending the ride, the Pirates of the Pancreas. He must think that ride is actually super, super scary because he's afraid of pirates so much. Next up is this robe Jerry is wearing. Now there is a symbol that is in Japanese in the back, and if it's loosely translated to meaning weak. So it fits perfectly with Jerry's character model. He's a meek, weak person, and it fits perfectly, and it's a pretty cool thing they threw in there. Another possible video game reference in here is the gun that the president uses during his fight with Rick. It looks and functions very similar to the gravity gun that we see from Half-Life. And there are tons of little things hidden in that fight sequence where they go through all the different layers of the basements of the White House. First off, they fall into the cocaine lounge, which they spoke about earlier, which is pretty funny. And then there's this weird thing where these two kids are under mind control and he controls them with a whistle. This could be a nod to the conspiracy theory called Project Monarch, where allegedly the CIA uses devices like this to control kids as agents and how to do their bidding. That could be a possible information about it. There's also a couple movies it could be related to, not entirely sure there. Also, if we keep going on here, the McKinley storage and waste warehouse is loaded with just about every major government conspiracy ever. First off, we see the moon landing being faked. We see the Delaware crossing being faked. We see there's an alien, looks like an alien spacecraft in there. It looks like a set that's 9/11. It looks like JFK's limo is also in there. We see Tupac, and like I said, there's nods to just about every popular conspiracy theory ever. So it's out there for all you conspiracy lovers that threw that in there. It's a pretty cool thing to see in that episode. Also, in the very end of that scene, if you freeze frame, you can actually see what is a skeleton that is buried beneath the floorboards of a floor in the White House. So that was a really sneaky thing there. You had to freeze frame it almost to catch it. Also, later, the president admits that he thinks that Rick is a living god, and then he goes on to say that the only other god is Poseidon, and they have him locked away in Area 51. So that's pretty interesting as well.
And can't coexist with a living god that won't submit to it. I mean, besides Poseidon. But he's locked up in Area 51 already, so that doesn't really count.
And as another thing noted here, another thing going back to the Minecraft is that the president's knockoff portal looks very similar and behaves very similar to the Nether portal from Minecraft. They both have to use a flame to open it, so I thought that was a pretty cool nod in there. Also, in the last scene here, the cabin that the family retreats to, they say that is the same cabin as before, so that leads me to believe that they portaled to this world where they were hiding from the Galactic Federation in Season 2. It looks very similar to that cabin. Also, hiding in that cabin in the background, there is a picture of Snuffles hanging in the cabin wall. Thought that was pretty cool. And lastly here, it's pretty cool to see that Beth now breaks the fourth wall. She does so in one of the final scenes of the episode.
We're a real family now. In many ways, things will be like Season 1, but more streamlined.
Overall, the episode was pretty good. It did kind of wrap up and reset most characters. They use it as a kind of way to reset the show. It's basically back to Season 1 where there's no major plot lines going on. There's just the background ones of Evil Morty and then, of course, Phoenix Person and Tammy, which, of course, hopefully will return in Season 4. You know, everyone's back together now. They're back in the house. Beth and Jerry are back together. Rick convinced the president that he's fly fishing Rick, which was pretty funny, so he gets to stay in this reality as well. So it kind of went all back to that. But one more thing I wanted to touch on real quick, and that is everyone's biggest question, and that is, of course, is Beth actually a clone or not? Now, Rick comes out and flat out says, no, she's not a clone, but that's, of course, what he would say if she is a clone. And then we have that weird scene at the end where he brings a gun and he says he's there to kill Jerry with it. But what I really think happened is that after Beth's speech about caring about her family and caring about things like that, it really spoke to Rick, and instead of killing off the clone Beth, he decided to not do that. And if he did, it would ruin the family, would ruin all this nice love going on in the family. So instead, he decided to keep the clone around, and maybe we'll see more of the actual Beth in Season 4. However, that's just my opinion. There are lots of evidence out there supporting both directions, really. They're kind of just purposely leaving it very vague. As of right now, there's hints that she is a clone. There's hints that she's not a clone. We don't really know for sure. And one thing I thought was pretty funny, if you go back to the very first episode where we think about her being a clone, which was episode 9, called the ABCs of Beth. Well, ABC, A Beth clone. So that could be a thing too, hidden in the title of episode 9. Not entirely sure there, but that's all I have for today, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe for more Rick and Morty content. Be sure to check out my previous Rick and Morty Easter eggs and references videos, along with all my Rick and Morty conspiracy theory videos. I have an Evil Morty on Beth being a clone and all kinds of fun stuff. Links to all that in the end slate and description. Also, one more thing before I get out of here. Make sure you guys are heading over to the Amino app, guys. I'm going to be doing a live hangout, like I said, tomorrow, Wednesday, October 4th at 6 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be on there for a few hours, hanging out with you guys, taking your live questions in voice chat. You guys actually have an actual conversation with me and other Rick and Morty fans. Links to all that down in the description, guys. But until next time, guys, remember that it's always K-Mac time somewhere, guys. Until then, take it easy and peace out.
Jump right in.
When in job.